Heba here. Today's talk is about the underworld, the beings that run the underworld, the black hole, the phantom matrix, the intruder races. It has a bit of a negative spin on it, so it's not like a positive light love topic. So if you feel that this is not for you, it's okay. I'll be explaining the meaning of the underworld systems. I'll deep dive into some of the races that inhabit these matrices, as well as weave into the topic and some connections that I personally made in relation to the underworld cities that exist today and have for a very long time. This may be a surprising fact, but fascinating and possibly disturbing too. I personally hesitate to talk about the dark side because it's not pleasant. It's not something that people generally are thrilled to hear about. But like I said, it's part of the dual reality that we live in on this four-dimensional level within our time matrix. Therefore, the sooner we understand how these factions operate, the more decisive, I guess, we can be about our choices and whether we want to feed it or otherwise starve it. Okay, there are also multiple layers that we don't see. Some we do see, some we don't see. So I intend to take you down the rabbit hole, address questions we've received from many of you concerning the nature of the beings in the shadow world, the shadow dancers, the tags, the astral beings, as well as talk about solutions for healings. Because this channel, like I said many times before, is about providing solutions and healing solutions always. This is how we work in this channel. We're always oriented toward making things better and healing things, not denying that they exist, acknowledging they exist, but also providing those solutions for healing. If there's something that doesn't have a solution, then we refrain from bringing it out or bringing it up, because there's really no point in fostering fear or, planting that seed of fear in one's psyche. So we avoid going that way. We're more about bringing and acknowledging what's truly happening, black hole, phantom matrices, the dark side, but also providing solutions and inner technologies that work to heal the biosystem. I want to also talk about Indigo 3s, and of course the Caduceus, which will probably be in the second half rather than the first hour, possibly the second hour. So today I'll be talking about phantom and black hole systems or underworld systems that have been a part of our universe for a very long time, not just millions, but this can go back to like over 500 billion years. We've been so hypnotized and mind controlled, and this extends beyond just a simple D3 mental body. We've been deceived. We've been kept in the dark for a very long time, metaphorically and literally. So this information I'm presenting to you is not to invite fear, anger, bias, resentment of any kind towards those beings, but rather for educational purposes and better discernment, because when we know, we can make better decisions. But when we're in the dark, we don't know any better, and this is how we get deceived. So the underworld consists of the phantom, the fallen, and the meta-fallen, and this is what I'll be talking about. Okay, so who are these groups that reside in the phantom, the fallen, and the meta-fallen? There's so many different factions, but these are essentially the black holes, the wormholes, the imploding universes, the survival of the fittest groups, the victimization game, the lost souls who got lost in the cosmos somewhere in fragmented form, the fallen souls, the oversouls, avatars, and entities who are the false creator gods, and they tend to do the behind the energy vampiring systems. Earth's shadow world, the galactic metahuman, the wall in time, Phoenix and Falcon, and the river Styx, the Nibiru, Wormwood, Wizardek, Shadow Dancers, fallen ETs. This is a big one. Angels, archangels, yes, angels and archangels, demons, archdemons, incubi, succubi, parasites, parasitics, things, and dark lord and masters. It's a major world. Like it's a world of its own right, but it doesn't have a right to be there. It just exists as an anomaly. And I'll talk about this in a minute. Okay, in essence, these are the systems that actually run on reversal mathematics. They hold dead light. They're disconnected from eternal life source. Some, not all of these factions have come together and created what is known as the Antichrist. Yes, the Antichrist was created by the black hole fallen races. Antichrist is not an entity. Antichrist is a system. It runs on reverse templates. The system has a name. It's BEAST. BST. The acronym is BST. It stands for blank slate technology. The hints in the word itself, blank. It's a system that thrives on deadness, not aliveness. It's designed to erase DNA codes, to eradicate memory that holds the codes of our true origin. This way, we can't remember who we are. It's like being displaced without any memory of how to return home, so that we are guaranteed to recycle back through ignorance, through false reincarnation processes with blank memories, with reverse DNA templates, and a high quanta of Shauna dead light instead of Shadi, true light. It's the false Shauna dead light that feeds on another rather than replicate through connection to source, backflow to and from source. That's also, we can't recall who we are. So it's perfectly fits in well when the name, the beast, contains the word blank, because that's what happens. We go blank. We can't go back in time and remember who we were once, the angelic humans who lived and thrived in peace, love, and true connection to all life form. So everything, by the way, starts in the Christic seed. If you doubt this, watch my other YouTube video, which was uploaded a few weeks ago, and it's titled Creation. Okay, the creation steps. I'm certain to a great extent that you will appreciate life after watching it and the source of life. So yeah, you will come to realize how everything truly starts from the Christic source. So source didn't create the Antichrist like a lot of people think. The Antichrist system is a result, is an anomaly of free will being granted for many populations on this time matrix, and went really wrong. At some point, it severed itself from the natural occurring cycles of creation and lost the breathing rhythm, okay, and went a different way altogether. So it went and created its own time matrix, but it's not the same as ours, a true organic one. In other words, DNA in these fallen matrices mutated to a large extent, and therefore to ensure its survival, it must feed on something else. And this is where the idea of vampires come from. It's real. It exists. Okay. Now we must recognize that our bodies are energy portals. Creation probability is where the 1,728 lives we have in existence simultaneously are existing, calculated based on the 12-dimensional formula and subdimensions of these dimensions. So there are 4 density levels that are considered manifestation levels, because the 5th one is the Kirashe. And each one has 3 dimensions, so that becomes total of 12 dimensions. Each life, or each incarnation, or each manifestation of energy, if you like, on each dimension, again, has 12 probable selves. That makes 144 probable selves on each dimensional levels. So then each density is 432 probable selves, a total of 1728 by the time we get to the 12th dimension. Like I said, the fifth density isn't counted because it's primal light. Okay, so this is when the unity happens in those fields, these primal fields. But below it, on each density level, there's 432 probable cells. It brings it to a total of 1,728 on all density levels. And that's the manifest self. It's all its probabilities in one time matrix. That's a lot of selves roaming around. Of course, not all 1728 lives are living like they are right here, making podcasts and, all that. I don't imagine it like that anyway. I'll explain to you how I see it personally, but there are a lot of other parts that may be conscious of you may be conscious of them, but sometimes and generally it's not a conscious thing, because I'll explain that in a minute. So how I see it is like I see a little part of me in, like, for example, in specific native plants, or a part of me in the higher Christos avatar form, a part of me in the astral that runs on a different codes, mathematical codes. It may be a more loving self, perhaps runs on different, particular set of instructions, or flashing in and out of existence at the same time, but they don't connect until the energy differences or energy disparity between these probable selves is no longer there. It's like you know who you want to be in the future in potentiation, but you're not there yet because of that, because of the thoughts and beliefs that you hold about yourself, stopping you from really embodying that full version of you that you want to be. So you have it in your heart and your mind, and you wait for when there's the right sets of instructions to go ahead and create the path that bridges your now to your future self. And it remains in the future because it's a probability. This requires certain codes to activate within us so we can cross that bridge. We can cross over the rainbow bridge and know that it's safe. Trust the process, know that it's safe, and go ahead and cross the bridge and ensure that this bridge is not going to fall and collapse while we're doing that, which is another word for like self-implosion. So basically we're going through stargates, ascending, meeting our new selves, evolving, accreting vibration and frequency, and then doing it all over again and again and again until we reach levels of awareness that we be able to look down at all our other selves and know what they're doing. And usually they are, if you're Christos avatar level, they're all in unification. Okay, this is so what really holds us back from meeting our other selves is doubt, disempowerment mentality. And there is a massive program that runs this and pushes for this to happen, so you never know who you are, and that's called victimization program. It's much more ancient than anyone can imagine. It didn't start with, the fall of Babel or the war, Second World War. It started a longer, way before. It started 470 to like 450 billion years ago. It started in the Borga matrix or the Borgia matrix. In essence, we've been disempowered and we forgot about our other selves. We forgot about our memory because it was wiped blank, clean slate. So we don't believe we have higher potential because we've been made believe we're victims. So when you think you're a victim, you hold back. When you think you're a victim, you don't create. You're not in creation mode because that part of your body is turned off because you don't think you can do it. This is the same reason we can't connect to our future, meaning advanced, probable selves, because of two main reasons. We don't know how. We used to, but we forgot the how. Luckily, that inner technology is returned to us now, the freedom teachings. And two, we don't feel the urgency or need to integrate other parts because our focus is here right now, where we're embodied, where everything converges, yes, but we need to remember that we're here for a purpose, and it's much more than just satisfying the body's desires and needs. and, you know, be happy and in false happiness. It's an illusion of this reality field. So yeah, we forget that why we're here. We forget our purpose. We forget that we're humans in spiritual humans, spiritual beings having this experience. And so we focus on making a living, and that's as far as it goes for a lot of people, for the majority of beings, except indigos and humans. At some point, they wake up and realize, no, that's not it. There's way more. There's endless possibilities, and they become so empowered that they come here, and I'm one of them. So that's basically how it goes. For most indigos, if they're not hijacked, and humans who are activating their 12 DNA strand. Not yet, but they've got the 12 DNA strand potential. So how do we become aware of our probable selves? Well, we don't consciously become aware. We can't integrate these selves until we remove what's stopping us from accessing the bank of memories and our inner Akashic records. So as it is right now, and due to the fallen races, the fallen systems, the beast technology, we have not been able to remember who we are for a very long time. But this reclamation is here. It's set in motion now. We're on that timeline right now. We're living it. It's called the restoration of the Mashayanic template and the Christos realignment mission. We're doing it right now as we speak. Natural activation of the fourth DNA strand begins the awakening of the reincarnational memory, interaction with other simultaneous expressions of self, and communication with other life forms from other coexisting places and vectors. Therefore, DNA activation is the way to put those pieces together and return to source, whole, not fragmented. So where do these other selves reside? That's what someone asked a while back. By the way, this podcast is really delayed. I meant to do this a while back, but I felt like it just didn't have that urgency to do it. And so I thought, okay, this year, this is probably the last podcast for the year, so I'm just going to fit it in. So someone asked, where do our cells, other cells reside? Well, they reside here, there, and everywhere, because it's a frequency that's connected to you somehow. And once you're able to change your angular rotation spin of your atoms, then you can align with these frequencies and become aware of your other cells. It's like adjusting your radio to, turning the knob to what frequency you want to receive. Same thing. So the bits of fragmented consciousness here, everywhere, right now. When I'm speaking, sometimes I feel like I can access that higher part of myself, and it just flows. But in normal situations, like if I'm cooking or making something in the kitchen, that's turned off. I'm not really in sync with that. So it's like something you consciously do, but something that also takes place unconsciously or subconsciously. So like when you sleep, you get images and things, it's happening all the time, but it's a matter of where your consciousness is stationed. Now, when the monad comes online, that's your memory restored. This is done through flame body activations and inner technologies provided by the Freedom Teachings body of work. There are also many parts to a fragmented consciousness stuck and phase locked on levels we consider phantom or fallen. This is why I'm bringing this up, because there's parts of ourselves stuck in phantom or fallen matrices or even the black hole system. In this video, I'll talk about those things known as attachments. They basically are comprised of figments of miasmas or shadow dancers and form the larger shadow body that most people, especially in the new age, are like, oh, we want to heal the shadow body, integrate the shadow body, but then they don't have no idea how to do that or what the shadow body is. But yeah, this is why New Age teachings are not teaching integration, because a big portion of the New Age community are actually denying and escaping the shadow body. So yeah, and the escapism is for everything or anything that's dark. Like I'm not thrilled to be talking about this. I'm not thrilled that we're taken over by the Caduceus and, some parts of the grids are falling into the phantom, and I'm not thrilled about that. I'm not thrilled about seeing people completely unconscious already in the black hole system, as living portals to the black hole system. I'm not thrilled about the wormholes and the tricks, the tricks and the deception, massive deception. But I have to talk about it. It has to be made known, and not just to be in joy and the good side, the brighter side, the lighter side, but also these things need to be made known, not to dwell on them, because then it's very dim place to be. Like, we need to make sure that once we know about them, that we start to evolve out of that and learn about creation, learn about the things that are truly educational, especially when it comes to how we manifested here and where we come from and the Christic side of things, so that we can have that joy and experience joy in this reality. Even with all the darkness, we can still find joy within. So this is the purpose of this video, is to explain to you where the shadow lies and what lies in the underground. And they have names just as we do. There's beings, there's galaxies, there's worlds, there's matrices, there's planets. They have names. There's races, there's collectives that reside there. These are also mirrored within our bodies. If you think along the line of, this doesn't concern me because I don't lend energy to the dark side. Someone said that a while back, and I'm like, okay, wait until they knock on your door. What are you going to say? Light, love? You need to be aware to some extent. You don't have to go all the way deep into the black hole system, but you need to know what is running what at the moment. So yeah, I don't lend energy to the dark side. Well, think again, because as within, so without, as above, so below, there are bits of the underworld that belong to you in your DNA codes right now. If you're going to deny them, you're denying your own healing. So yes, in you, in me, it's all connected. To evolve doesn't mean to escape, does not mean that. It doesn't mean to deny it, doesn't mean to override it with light, cover it up. It's to integrate it. It's to bring it into the awareness, into the forefront, the awareness, and to accept it and to transmute those energies. So blend it with the overriding energies that are considered Christic energies. 12D currents. 12D currents will override the 1 to 12 negative energies or reversal energies. Remember, in an organic energy system, we have full power to create, to co-create, to manifest, to demanifest in and out of creation, because creation is not what we think it is. We're not here stationed here. We're flashing in and out of this existence all the time. The illusion is that things are solid. There is something us living beings become aware of who they are and must do. The old way of thinking must shift. And it's important we take our power back and take consolation in the fact that we can have full governance. We don't need an external government. We can have, as Christics, we can have full governance over our lives if we choose to. But that's something we've been made believe we don't have, neither the power nor the right to. We've been made believe that we're born in lack, born in disempowerment, and have no way of ever becoming sovereign, let alone light switchers, generators, creators, living, walking portals. That's why they let us go to rallies and organize rallies and do that, because there's only so much, that much we can get out of it, and a lot that we can't get from. It's a distraction. You're basically engaging in something that you feel is a demonstration for freedom, but what's happening is that you're just wasting energy, wasting life force in begging for freedom, which you already have within if you can access the right codes. So that's why they allow us to indulge in a little bit of freedom fighting to an extent. It's very cleverly calculated. If you can see through it all, the deception, you will be... Actually, it doesn't feel good at the start. It feels like, okay, I don't know what to believe. I don't want to be here. It's too much, you know. But after you get over that grieving period, I call it, or shocking period, then something dawns upon you. It's like, okay, now I know so much that others don't know, and it's not as bad if you actually step out of these foreign events. That's what they appear to be like. That's like octopus with like tentacles holding everybody to it and through it, and you know, it's gruesome. Okay, but you're standing above that. You're not affected one bit by that. It's not a pleasant sight, because you see how people are just getting caught in it, the tentacles, and just thinking that they're going on a journey somewhere pleasant. Yeah, but it's not like that. It's the opposite. They're getting caught in something super, super dangerous. So what Mashayanic says, we must approach things with love instead of blame, because to approach them the way I'm rephrasing, okay, to approach them the way they themselves have been created is, i.e. from position of lack of love, lack of empathy, lack of compassion, will be more destructive to them and to us. So we need to remember that Merkaba fields that we feed could be geared towards creation or could be geared towards destruction. It's a personal choice and ultimately a collective one as well. So yeah, it's important to remember we are created from the seed atom of love, of pure love. That's the intention of first creation. And we must remember that we don't descend to the levels of hate, resentment, unforgiveness, judgment, because we're participating in the duality conflict if we do that. It's one thing to bring awareness to it. It's another thing to indulge and to, like, people start to get adrenaline rushes after a while. It's like, oh yeah, we did this, you know, and we participated, and I'm going for backing up this side and not this side, and this side wins, this side loses, and I'm so happy for the next 4 years. I'm going to be like the golden age. And this is still part of the duality conflict that you're not seeing, because you're not standing outside of the foreign events and becoming witness and an unbiased judge. You're using your emotions, you're allowing your emotions to decide for you. You're not using your high intellect, your higher mind, your wisdom that we all have. You just have to start activating. You have to stand away. You have to let the emotions sit still for a while and then just think with pure, selfless, I guess, unbiased witness. And you'll see the layers. You'll see that it's duality conflict. It's the same people. But instead of pushing one agenda just like that and making you run away, what they do is they come at you from here. And in case you run that way, they come from here. And then you're caught. So you're in the tesseract cube, you're in the square, or you're in the Ouroboros, which is all a continuity of that duality game, basically. Okay, so I'll deep dive now into the meaning of phantom. Phantom. So what is phantom? Phantom is miasmas and blocked energy flow, creating the phantom shadow self. Basically, phantom means running opposite mathematical programming, blocking the natural energy flow that we innately are born with, you know, before distortions kick in. The group of beings that collectively run on blocked energy created a matrix called the phantom matrix. The phantom matrix is a black hole sub-time distortion. Sub means it's come out of the original timeline. It's not the original time. It's a sub-time distortion. So it's running on false timeline like we're running now. It's not the year 2024 right now. This is a sub-time distortion, because part of it, it's a mixed, it's a blended universe right now where we are here. And Earth is, it's a blended energies, blended, parts of it's fallen, part of it is falling or just sitting on the edge, and part of it's evolving. And that's what we're hoping to do with the Gyrodrome technologies, is to evolve parts of these grids. So we go into the natural timeline. So we join the correct time and not the distorted, the subtime distortion system created over 250 billion years in this time matrix. 250 billion years. It was originally part of the divine blueprint. It was one of those accidents that happened through free will and probability. This is what we've been trying to heal for 250 billion years. Fallen angelics reside in the phantom matrix, and it is they who are trying to contact us from the phantom matrix. Their objective is to draw Earth and Earth beings on Earth in a completely reverse way, to suck all of it into their phantom matrix, where it would become a planet of the satellite Nibiru. And this is why we have false light programs, New Age. So if you're not sure what these programs are and you want to explore deeply into that, then go ahead and watch the false light video that premiered a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, on our channel. This mechanics is not limited to human bodies, but also to planetary and galactic bodies. Example, there are 12 universal stargates that connect to one another, while the 12th one connects to the light Kirache and connects to the transharmonic Kundera, which is the sound field, primal sound, which links to the neighboring time matrices. There are two primary reversed matrices that interface with our Eka system, and they are the Wizardek and the Phantom Black Hole. So right now we have a problem with the Wizardek and the Phantom Black Hole. The two interface at Stargate 6, and this is where we get the 666 combination. Here Earth, 6, Phantom, 6, Wizardek, 6, 666 interface. The Wizardek and the Phantom Stargate 7 and 6 interface, and they have their own reverse energy currents. So when you add 7 and 6, you get 13, but because it's in minus, it's in reverse, it becomes a minus 13 or a reverse 13 current, which is an over the 12D, but it's not the correct energy. It's not running organically, so it's running in reverse, and that is the Antichristos blueprint. What it turns into in our ecosystem is the flaming blue sword of Archangel Michael that many got initiated into and still being initiated into since the time of ancient Egypt. It lasts reverse currents here through our grids. That's when it started, of course, still going, because it's all adding up and working towards this time here right now when the stellar activation cycle takes place, which is now. The stargates are open, and yeah, the blue flaming sword of Archangel Michael hits. This reverses everyone's codes who got initiated, who accepted Archangel Michael into their consciousness. These, of course, recode not only the human body or the body, the human or whatever, even animals, plants, but also the planetary grids, and connect to the net field, which is the Niburian electrostatic transduction field. Basically, net field is the means a field where energy is being recycled. So it's like a vampiric system. It's recycled through the configuration of the Ouroboros, and it connects to the black hearts of Metatron as well. So these matrices have beings and races in their systems That's where I want to take you right now, is to name these beings, so you have a name and not just the beings, because that's a bit vague. But we do actually have beings that that have names that reside in these systems. Okay, let's explore some. And this is not a conclusive list. This is just the main players, if you like. Okay, so example one is the Necromaton Andromes. They're the fallen seraphim hybridized with the Andromedans, or the Andromedan races. They're connected to inner Earth, to Alpha Omega Centauri, to the Phantom Andromeda planets. Each of these fallen groups have symbology that represents them. For example, when you know these connections, you see it and you can identify it straight away. So I saw a singer on YouTube the other day, and he was wearing very famous. He's wearing on his jacket a pin, and it had a beetle on it, beetle pin. This is the fallen insectoid beetle group connected to the Necromaton Andromes. So they're letting us know, if they do know themselves, who they are. But usually they're inclined to like certain things. That's how you know. Another group are the Zetas. They're the really dangerous Zetas, because I'll explain in a minute. They're connected to the Falcon wormholes on our planet that opened between 1903 to 1906. And Montauk Project they're behind the Montauk Project as well in the 80s. They're behind the Ethnic Virus, Sonic Pulse, and Natural Disaster Program. Testing, listen to this, they're testing for intended reduction of human populations. Think of something else they did recently, specifically in 2020. What did they roll out then? That's part of the agenda. The Zeta Regilians assist to organize and strengthen the Hitler Nazi movement by physical contact with Nazi inner circles. So they don't come here, the dark avatars, and do the work. They have their circles. And they contacted Hitler, and Hitler agreed to advance race supremacy program to exterminate the Hebrew Anunnaki Illuminati hybrid races, while protecting the Hebrew Illuminati hybrid lines of the draconian races. They have a preference, always have a preference. The draconian Illuminati in allied governments covertly assist the Nazis' financing. 1903 to 1916, the Zetas of the Phantom Earth opened the Atlantean Falcon wormhole in Charleston, or off the coast of Charleston in South Carolina in the Atlantic Ocean, which was like, that's not Noassa Atlantis before. That was the beginning of speculation for invasion. Their symbology they use is always a falcon. That's hence the falcon wormholes, because they're connected to the Nazis and to someone you would know, Aleister Crowley. You know, look up who he is if you're not sure. By the way, some of the Illuminati races, they didn't choose to defect. They were simply tricked into defection and they become possessed. What's sad is that the Illuminati races that you see here, like the ground crew, they were used heavily and extensively, and some don't know what they're doing. They're being tricked, just like we're being tricked. Once upon a time, they made a choice to actually come into the Emerald Covenant, but they got caught and pulled back into fallen matrices because they're controlled. So I will name some of these Illuminati bloodlines that are hybrid bloodlines that came as a result of forced interbreeding with the Magi human grail lines. Like the Magi human grail lines are the original humans who mixed their gene codes, not because they wanted to, because they were forced, with these fallen races. So there are 5 main races, Illuminati races, that have their gene codes mixed with the human gene codes. One is the Pleiadian, Niburian, Samjazi, Luciferian. That's one race. Pleiadian, Niburian, Samjazi, Luciferian. Second is Niburian, Thoth, Enki. That's the second race. Third is the Alpha Omega Centauri, I think. Yes. And third is the Marduk Necromaton. Fourth is the Marduk Necromaton Luciferian. And the fifth are the Anu Melchizedek's human line. So yeah, the Illuminati bloodlines are the result of this genetic mix, coding mix with the Magi Grails. This is what they did to create a super antichristic Leviathan race, and it's still the case with the tribe of Levi. They're still coming back to reclaim their race line. This is why you hear famous people saying, one day I will be making sure we return to the promised land, because they want to bring back the tribe of Levi. So this process was not done nicely. It was forced. It was abuse. It was rape of women who were used as breeding vessels from the time of Atlantis, from 2500 BC and forward. So before Atlantis. They want these codes in all the people on Earth. That's their objectives. Their objective. They want to rape the grid works. They want to prime us so we run reverse matrix code, and so we can connect to their fallen systems, you know, because if we're running opposite to theirs, we don't interface and they can't vampire on our energy. So they want us to run the same reverse matrix codes. And they let you know if you can see it. In one of Madonna's songs called Frozen, the closing lyrics say, "You are the key, you are the key," or I don't know how it goes, but like it says, "You are the key," and it ends. This is what they meant, the key. They want you because you are the key. As a human, Indigo, Magi Grail, you are the key. You hold the key in your DNA. You're going to open the stargates for them, like they did in Amenti, and they're going to walk in and they're going to harvest your monatomic gold, which is a white powder gold, which is the celestaline that gets them through the Stargate. They do that in a gruesome way. And they want your genetic key. They want your input, your ideas, your brains, your energy. And then when they're done with you, they discard you. This is how the vampiric system works. They have no regard to how you feel, to who you are, to your true essence. They don't care about that. They care about looshing. They want to survive. So, yeah, if you can read between the lines, there's actually so much in that clip, the Madonna clip. If you like to decipher it for clues, because it just teaches you, just as an educational thing, you know, you don't have to be so like too concerned or anything. It's just they telling us, and you can see it everywhere. There's so much reference, by the way, to the black hole and phantom systems and fallen races in that clip. It's loaded. They try to let us know. If we don't see it, they continue their deception anyway. They continue anyway, even if it means by force. Why? Because they operate vampirically. They need food, they need the codes, they need it all. And they usually get what they want through forced hybridization, because that's how you create babies. And when you create babies, then that's their gene line back online. It's the best way for them to do it. Hybridization is their main strategy, because then there's a little bit of them as well in all the Stargates and Templars, so they can access the Earth's Templars and planetary codes to be able to access it all, to bring down Becca and ecosystems. They're not just interested in Earth, they're interested in the whole Becca and ecosystems, aka inner Earth. Right now on Earth, we have two major players, or two major competing groups. We have the Anunnakis, which in political scenarios, Speaker One said that they're the Democrats. Okay, I personally would have thought the opposite. Like, I would have thought along the lines of, okay, doesn't look that way. It looks, you know, anyway, that's just because we're not fully activated to see the whole picture. But Speaker One says, Shayanadine, that they, in political scenarios, the Anunnakis are actually the Democrats. And I know in biblical references, they are the Enkis. And their competitors are actually the Draconians, that became the Knights of Malta and diversified into other family lines, especially stationed themselves in the Middle East and Europe, and the Templar Knights, otherwise known as the Freemasons. While the Magi Grail humans and Indigos are caught in the worldwide inner and outer dimensional drama, we're always caught in that conflict. Another main player now, so that was first one. Another one is the player from the underground are the Marduk, Draman, Satan, Anunnaki. Satan. They're fallen Anu Seraphim hybrids with the Lyra Avion races. They're connected to Sirius B, to Nibiru, and a few others. Their symbology is interesting. Their symbology is dragon symbology. And not all dragons are Christic dragons. Some are Christic dragons. The main fallen dragons, the fallen groups, are the white, red, green, and blue. Whereas the Christic dragons are golden, purple, and indigo. So these fallen groups are fallen Illuminati bloodlines, and they go back to Sumerian and Babylonian kings and queens and the Sethian king. These groups set up the Set schools. This is where that name originated. Used in Hollywood, like on set. This is where it comes from. It's connected to the KKK, the Islamic Hebrew text distortion, and the Satanic Bible, of course, and the Satanic Church. These are the Marduk, Draman, or Draman, I'm not sure, but I think Draman, it's spelled D-R-A-M-I-N, Satan, Anunnakis. Okay, another Phantom Matrix invader are the Enlil or Dedekron Anunnaki group. They're connected to the fallen Seraphim hybrid Avion Lyra. Their symbology is the phoenix. So you see references in their race. When you see the phoenix on certain places, it goes on banknotes, it goes on flags. They always let you know their associations. Remember, this group is connected to also the dragon fallen lines, like the Dragon King lines, Atlantean, Egyptian mystical schools, and the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar is from a fallen black hole system. It's a false prophecy. And here's a big one that connects to this group. It's the Galactic Federation of Light. Or should I say false light? The other group is the Pleiadian Niburian Anunnakis. These are the groups that trick people here to channel and to give false information. So in 1972, the Pleiadian Niburian Anunnaki assist the White Eagle Dove Alliance, aka Semjazi, Thoth, Galactic Federation, and Ashtar Command. Join Archangel Michael and Enoch to break through cap on the Phoenix wormhole via Solar Stargate 4 sonics transmissions. That's our sun. And that began the activation of the Phoenix. So they connected the wormhole to the sun to siphon the prana, forming a Caduceus, which is a Caduceus network that I'll be talking about in this segment, maybe in the second hour. And the formation of Dove and White Eagle APIN systems, the implantation of those systems, which all of it together, the wormhole, the APIN system, which APIN means Atlantean Pylon Interface Networks. They're implants in the grids that intensify the solar anomalies from 1943. So it began there. So the Christics, to circumvent the efforts and to cancel out all that damage, Christic Galactic Alliance groups, they implement the 1111 and 1212 frequency fences to prevent 1973 red pulse distraction, initiating solar gate 4 repairs to the sun. Anunnakis begin regaining strength in Illuminati World Management Team. So what's noteworthy here is that this group of Pleiadian Niburian Anunnakis are particularly targeting the Indigos particularly targeting indigos. If the fallen angelic factions can reverse that indigo shield by hacking us with miasma implants, they gain access to our shields and therefore have a passage to hijack our gates to feed the fallen system. Another group is the Jehovah's Anunnakis. They come from Phantom, Lyra, Avion, Sirius A, Arcturus, Alpha Centauri, Andromeda, and Orion, or Theta Orion. And not all groups from these systems are fallen, but the fallen ones are a mixed bag, and they're all fallen Anu Elohim, Jehovian, D11, Dark Avatar Collective Group. They're very intelligent beings. They do like master agendas. They're so good at executing, deceiving, and so that becomes their collective name, Jehovah's Anunnakis, and they're connected to the dove and to the olive branch, and Jehovah's 7 seals that we're attempting to clear with the J seal clearance technique, and the Phoenix wormhole. Their race is connected to the Adam Cadman, Belial, Davidic, aka Pleiadian-Niburian coalition. They're connected to the Yahweh matrix, to the Black Cube system, to Enoch, to Adam Cadman. So essentially the first Israelites, the Abraham, David, Moses, Akhenaton, Jeshua 9 lineage, not the D12 Jeshua. They conjured the fake Christmas story. They're responsible for raiding the true Magi Grail races and taking over CDT teachings and twisting them, fabricating the Bible, the message in the real Bible, which is, by the way, based on Mahabharata text, which is a message of unity, message law of one, message of love. They're connected to the fake tree of life, the Sephiroth, the Thoth, Isis, Merlin, Archangel Michael teachings, Jehovah's Anunnakis. People channel them all the time. They're connected to Galactic Federation too, of course, because there's Ashtar Command, there's a Kabbalah, there's a one world order religion. See the signs, so see who is in power right now and who's running the one world order religion. Uniting people, but it's uniting people under the guise of love in order to create a subservient race of people with no true memory of who they are in terms of lineage, in terms of galactic history, in terms of race. They're trying to erase memories through the beast technology and AI, linking our brains to machines, computer software, somewhere on Mars, and you get it, who he is. Anyway, that's just one of them. It's just a player. But there's a group of people that are the masterminds of this agenda, Jehovah's Anunnakis. Another group is the Enki, Thoth, Zephilium Anunnakis. They're connected to the serpent matrix. They're connected to Levi and to Judah. They're connected to Osiris and to Thoth, Egyptian king lions, to Hermes, Trismegismus, to the Hiscock kings, Knights Templar Freemasonry bloodline. Knights Templar are the Anunnaki based, linked to the mythical schools, or mystical, both I guess, of Isis and Thoth, the kings of Malta, who, by the way, mutated more than usual, and then they became divided and became the KKK, all starting in Atlantis. This group, the Enki, Thoth, Zephilium Anunnakis, initiated the One World Order back in 9560 BC. It didn't just start 100 years ago. It started in nearly 10,000 BC. They started what's called the Luciferian Covenant Niburian Atlantean Dominion Master Plan. They're behind the fake Julian calendar that we've got. It's a fake one. The Olympus, or the Olympian sports that you get to watch and be distracted from what's truly taking place. The Olympus, the Olympian Games, the Osiris Isis mystery schools, the Thoth Alpha Omega Melchizedek mystical schools, not our Melchizedek cloister, but the Lord Melchizedek. Thoth also defected from the Emerald Covenant. Also is linked to this group, also associated with the New Age groups, false light, astral implants and tagging, astral overshadowing, potentially possession of the Indigos, and hijacking the Indigo template. What they're facing here is what we are facing here is actually a huge breach in the Indigo shield as a result of the hijacked Indigos, where miasmas and entities hacking that miasma in the body. Through doing that, they're able to possess the Indigo and use its higher coding to reverse our shields, so the FAs can work on their Templar mission conquest to get in through the inner Eka world gates at the 0 point of the Veka system and breach Eartha. Indigos are hacked via the Caduceus beast system, which was brought into this existence from Budara and the UIR, United Intruder Resistance, in the Orion Wars 570 million years ago through Wizardake and Phantom Matrix. So the Budaras are a group of Anunnaki who were actually possessed by the collective of the arachnids, or the spider beings. And this transfer actually happened through RNA transfer of the retrovirus. So they acquired the retrovirus and then the template shattered. The ripple of consciousness hijacking and then again filtered down through the Cathara systems, through the Stargates, through to Tara, and now to 3D, to our Earth, where the electric wars occurred 5.5 million years ago to vaporize, to completely eradicate the Terranesians, Magigrail, Orifim, Iani groups, who are responsible for healing the miasmas in the lower density systems. So the Caduceus network has been infiltrating us since the electric wars, where we had to be reseeded twice, and now 3. Our biological forms are not the same as they were before when we were originally seeded here on Particum Earth in 25 million years ago, after being evacuated from parallel anti-particle Earth through the Polarian Gate system. So, yes, a lot of damage, and they've gone real. They're targeting those with higher codes. They've always done that and always will do that until we obviously separate ourselves and have our own matrix where things don't work that way. That's been running for a long time. Another group is actually another invader race group are the Wizardraks. They're the draconian Draco dragon fallen race known as the Fatale, white albino reptile dragon hybrid equari. Not Aquari, not for Aquarians, but the Equari with an E. These are the main overlords that are on top of the fallen angelic hierarchy, because the Fatale are the Aquari races that fell and became Equaris. I believe they're referred to as the first 4 white dragons collective. They are basically, I've read somewhere that they are the worst of all the FAs because they have access to plasma level frequencies, alongside other Fatale, Burga or Burja, Incubi, Succubi races. These fallen Equari white dragon fins come into our time matrix through the Wizard Draconian systems, activate the Omega kill code here on planet Earth as the ultimate black magic weapon to shut down prana respiratory systems. They're the biggest threat right now, especially to Indigos, the Fatales, which are the Fim-born Indigos with reverse plasma codings. They tried to hijack you. Okay, I had shared something briefly. I'm not going to go into details, but I had an experience with one of those beings, face to face, looking at me through the screen. And it was the most frightening thing I've ever seen. And I recognized straight away that it was one of those Fatale Fim-born Indigos. And at first it was like I was hit by a truck. Okay, I went completely blank, yeah. good word. But yeah, blank, and I forgot what I was going to say. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to proceed. I was just sitting there with like no memory, no words, nothing is coming online. It was just like blankness, staring at it and not knowing what to think and how to proceed and what to do. And then I was protected before, which is, I guess, why it wasn't worse. So I'd done the D12 instantly. Then I just went, activated the shield. And must admit, I took it lightly before because I didn't think they were that kind until I seen the way they were actually expressing themselves. And it was more like, is there something not quite right about that energy? And then as soon as I did that, it's like it got scared and it backed out. It's like they know too that you're a true indigo and they're scared of you, of your energy. So beyond like protecting yourself and sending love vibration and letting them know that you're not scared, you're not afraid, you're not in fear, they back out usually, but they try to tempt you to join their groups and come to their sessions and do the lives. And think about this one because it's connected to a certain group right now that many people actually are, especially indigos, that have fallen for. They're the great white brotherhood. They too have an agenda. It's not to activate indigos, but to take indigos down the path of fall, including, you would have heard of magenta indigo reversal programs. Part of the truth sharing is that we share agendas at play, particularly those who want to hijack indigos. They're the Octafim, Psychic, Vampiric, Angelic Collective. Their agendas to prevent indigos, Shadi, interfacing with the Amaria frequencies. That's why they want to stop you from doing flame body activations. This group of beings are now initiating indigos to some form of plasma activations. People must apply discernment here. I'm not going to name this group because you will know if you're partaking in that group, in that agenda. You will probably be in denial, but that's okay. But if you are on the fence, watch out for a group that will say, activate your plasma body. It's not what you think it is. I go back to the false Great White Brotherhood Collective, the Wizardek, the Borja, the Budara, the Shantarel, AI agendas that want to braid indigos in pan-assimilation. So make us all one, braid our central nervous system. They're using the CDT plates. They're using somebody to speak for them and reversing the original teachings. So take it or leave it. This is our channel. These are our thoughts. Feel free to discern for yourself. And I'm not saying any more on this, but what's been said out there and resonates highly is actually, let's just use a reference. There's a movie called Color Out of Space movie. Someone has a Telegram chat, and I won't say names, but this person knows a lot and very discerning. He suggested to look at the movie called Color Out of Space. Okay, the observations I made from the movie is that the opening scene features a swastika, a woman performing a ritual, which we know as the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. So calling the archangels and calling Michael and invoking the 4 archangels, called the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. The girl's hair is adorned with a triangle, which is a sign of hierarchy, power, and the top of the pyramid. In her hand is a book, and the book is the Necronomicon, which Necronomicon is basically a book that teaches invoking the dead. So I noticed the start of the movie, demon eyes over the red backdrop, and of course it shows clearly the magenta AI software that takes over all humans in the movie. Every single one. Very disturbed. Or maybe one less. Yeah, anyway, there's a part 2. Anyway, you get where I'm going with this. The movie is a revelation to show the hijacking and mind control through the third eye, through Stargate 6. And it's showing the hijacking very clearly, entrapping the victims, magenta software that binds the soul into a pan-assimilation that no one can escape. It's a mutating energy, magenta color energy. The movie ends showing how the ones assimilated with the magenta energy template disintegrate and vanish into a psychedelic cloud of magenta color. So note one thing here. Upon research, I found that magenta color doesn't actually exist as a visible light spectrum when dispersed through a prism. So it's not a natural occurring color or frequencies. Colors are frequencies. It's an extra spectra color that humans perceive through particular interaction, listen to this, between red and blue. Red and blue. We know red and blue are always representing dualistic programming. Dualistic programming, suggesting magenta could be the alien color entity took over that is beyond dualistic programming, okay, which might be okay, considering if you go beyond dualistic programming, you sit out of the conflict, that's okay. The problem is it's more related to pan-assimilation of entire webs of creation, going back to a particular planet as depicted in the movie, from which they originate, that shows rocky mountains and tentacles, suggesting an energy vampiric planet with tentacles everywhere, also suggesting that light spectra can only travel to that planet back through a wormhole or a black hole, meaning artificially created universe or planet, and frequency and beings and entire races that takes over everything else in existence. The movie suggests that the magenta spectra sends electrostatic tones, meaning energy recycling to and from itself. It's a dying universe. It's cut off from source. Furthermore, its creative ability connects to its robust Caduceus. It gathers energy as it goes along and snowballs. Its mathematical formulas built on a static 55 Fibonacci spiral, not the 45 Christic spiral. It's an unnatural electrical-based spiral, runs havoc on our planet because it's unnatural. It feeds off living systems. The color magenta shown is portrayed to be sentient. This is because of the radioactivity, which behaves in a similar way to black goo. So a comparison I'm making is what pan-assimilation means. It goes back to a group of White Brotherhood Fallen Collective Octafim group targeting indigos for plasma braiding. Anyway, this is just a quick rundown. In a nutshell, there's a lot more details that I can give, but I just wanted to summarize these main groups. Don't want to make the video too long. But like I said, these groups have become races due to the distortions they carry in their DNA. It doesn't mean, though, that they can't return back to eternal life systems. They can be hosted back. They can be, albeit not with ease. It requires dedication, evolutionary time, awareness, and willingness to be able to evolve back into the Mashayanic blueprint. This is why some of the positive groups have fallen too. Out of compassion, they've decided time after time after time throughout history to rehost these groups by hybridization to allow them to re-evolve back in the eternal life system out of their finite system. Some were successful, others were not. Instead, those that were not successful, they got caught in the net and phase locked their templates. So next, I want to talk about actually attachments now. tags and seals in our bodies as a result of the fallen angelic groups and what they've done to Earth's grid works and subsequently our biological templates. There are figment and there are elemental attachments. I will begin with, I'll begin talking about these attachments. So first, figments. What are figments? Figments are thought forms, beings. They are beings. So figments are thought form beings with a life of their own. They're created within the dimensional frequency band of the living and phantom matrices as thought form constructs. Thought form constructs. And they're living electromagnetic ray projections by various identity fragments within the atomic, etheric, emotional, elemental, mental, and shadow bodies of humans, of animals, of planets, and elementals. So they're thought forms, figments. Then you have elemental attachments. Elemental attachments, they're trapped elemental beings from the planetary elemental field in the phantom matrix that are drawn into the body and biofields of humans, animals, plants, and minerals and elements from the living time matrix through shadow body and inorganic metatronic wizardic universal shield implant systems. So this is the implant systems that are drawn from the fallen matrices like the wizardic. The wizardic use elemental attachment as mutated enzymes in antichristic energy vampiring digestive tract. It attacks our digestive system, and these are all mutations. As you know, the digestive system is really the second brain, really. So these mutations become thought forms from the digestive system. That's why, without doing the proper clearing, we can't actually rid ourselves from certain thoughts because they become embedded thoughts in the psyche. The other thing, there's another thing called tag teams. These are black hole system beings who use astral projection through the density void between the living, like ours, but really ours is actually a blended matrix, but between the living system here and the black hole matrix to implant crystallized sound bugs keyed to the net field in the person's auric or radial body. This can happen to animals too. These tags are used for various types of mind control, like in cases of celebrities. What it ultimately leads to is full body possession and DNA template takeover. And sorry, I'm just seeing an orb. Okay. They are specialized teams that work remotely, as in from the black hole system, who can navigate beings here and who may be an easy target for body snatching. They do most of the manipulations, and some of these teams include the Illuminati, except many of them don't know they're being manipulated. They use it for controlling events and people on Earth and gain access to Earth's territories and resources. There's something called HIT teams as well. They're more advanced teams, well trained on how to ensnare their consciousness in the net and transfer it to the shadow body for forced transit into the phantom matrix. I think that's just sort of the method they use in the cloning center. Yeah, I think that's what they use there. These people are like avatars. They manipulate minds, but also create false dreams, false fantasies, false memories. And they target radial body D3 and D2 to lure the consciousness into submissive, non-resistance black hole alignment, blocking a natural connection to personal radial body and higher spiritual consciousness. So I think all these like teams use false stories like angels to entrap people who are leaving the earth density plane, going on to like Bardoa transition. These people get ensnared into the black hole system by masquerading as humans, as angels. But of course we have the Christic SWAT teams that help when possible to rescue beings who unconsciously, unknowingly, are about to be taken into black hole system. Because black hole means fragmented consciousness, aka fragmented DNA template. So we have teams that working to counter the effects of the damaging, destructive teams. There's always the two. One's undoing the work of the other, sadly. Okay, there's the shadow dancers too. Shadow dancer attachment. I've spoken many times in reference to the Eye of Metatron and the Metatron Collective that failed many times to re-evolve the quarantine phantom races and fell into phantom. The whole Metatronic collective is in phantom right now. So basically, when the Eye of Metatron was installed, mutated, hybrid rebel races of the Wizardec Matrix misused the Stargate Templar system powers of their universal Vecca in an attempt to break the Phantom Matrix to gain control of the lens. Their attempted raid failed, destroying the Divine Blueprint, USG, Universal Stargate 12, and plunging the Matrix into imploding black hole status. And through the Metatron's misuse of the Eye of Metatron lens, refraction lens, the quarantine in Phantom Matrix was broken and Phantom Matrix digressed into progressive hybridization mutation. And then there were escalating wars between Phantom races. So there's something called the Gaian, like as in reference to Gaia, Gaian Orion Phantom Matrix wars that took place 570 million years ago. The Metatron Collective made deals with the Wizardec races from the Wizardec black hole system, allowing the Wizardecs to use the Metatron lens to create a wormhole called the Path of Arimathea between Wizardec and Phantom Matrices. The Wizardec Metatron Alliance used the lens to progressively create the Beast Machine, through which the antichristic Metatronic code for artificially sustained energy vampiring life, a permanent, irreversible template mutation was born. So this was done through forced shield bonding with the universal shields of Phantom Matrix, Our Time Matrix, and Wizardec. So it was a 666 configuration. When the beast was created to create interface with our system, the shadow world was born. This is why we have the shadow body. The D11.5, so not quite 12, but not 11, 11.5 reverse matrix dark avatar collectives of the Wizardec black hole who carry the permanent and irreparable mutation of the Metatronic code became our shadow dancer attachments. They're the shadow dancer attachments, the collectives of the Wizardec who reside in the black hole. So, the shadow dancers use sophisticated external antichristic Templar technologies of the beast and the shadow to progressively drain life force energies and hijack living consciousness from our universal Vecca system. So with the birth of that beast machine, the shadow dancers came here and there was a birth of the shadow body, elemental attachments and figment attachments. These attachments feed energy from the living body and environment to the shadow body, from which Phantom and Wizardec races then feed. So we have shadow dancers, shadow body, elemental attachments, figment attachments, all create advanced miasmic buildup. It's the antiparticle buildup in the particle field caused by these shield reversals. That's what antiparticle means. In our organic shields and DNA templates of all living systems, all living matrix life forms, they provide shadow dancers with the increased ability to drain the life force from the living personal and planetary bodies and dimensional unified field. They appear in someone's shield as mathematically reversed, geometrically distorted, misaligned, chaotically organized file letter sequences. It becomes tangible matter template. So it becomes something tangible that you can actually see it, feel it, touch it, hear it. It becomes a thing. They appear within the chakras, within the diotic grids, level 2 Cathara grid within the axiom and meridian line, auric field, Hoover, radial, etheric bodies, they become color distortions, because remember color's frequency, so they appear as color distortions, thick, dark, murky energy blobs and shapes. So all different shapes in one's aura. They appear as shadow forms, and when we activate four strand, we can see it. We can see the person's field, not just the color, but the shapes in the auric field. Sometimes they appear as shadow forms, animal, plant, molecular spirit forms like monster images, little people of various kinds, or erratic wave fields of twisted energy. So using the higher sensory perception, they look similar to miasmic chakra and auric distortions originating from the personal template, but upon closer inspection, elemental, figment, and shadow dancer attachments will carry like a subtle but a distinct thin aura of deep crimson red. It's a deep crimson red surrounding the form. The crimson aura attachments that appear in the biofield of the living host appears as a thin line of red positioned between physical body organ or atom and the natural etheric body field surrounds and permeates the physical structure. One of the most easily identifiable auric configurations of shadow dancer full possession is loss of the elemental figment attachment crimson line between physical and etheric bodies. When there's full possession, the being loses the crimson line around the physical and etheric body. It dissolves. The etheric body and the etheric body eyes start to radiate a steady, static, intense, bright, electric blue light. Why? Because remember, electric blue is the flaming blue sword of Archangel Michael, aka Metatronic artificial light current. Another apparent feature of the shadow dancer aura is a striation, so lines of various bands of rainbow colors in the field beyond the etheric body, which are each distinctly separated from each other by a thin black line. So you have the rainbow colors, but separated by a thin black line. The most notable telltale sign of shadow dancer full body possession is the gold band and magenta flame in the outer layer of the spherical, in the, where was I? Okay. I got lost here for a minute. Okay, in the outer layer of the spherical and, I'm really lost now. Okay, rather than the natural elliptical aura field. The magenta flame also sorry about that. The magenta flame has also been called the blood flame or the ruby flame or crimson crest, which was commonly known in the ancient times as a sign of the Antichrist. So the crimson crest is a dense band of radiant static energy of a deep, bright, intense electric violet red or dark magenta red from 3 to 6 wide surrounding singular spherical auric capsule, which signifies completion of a forced metatronic bonding. Forced metatronic bonding. So when the Metatron bonds completely, it creates that dark magenta red shield, D13 electric blue sword current. Within the crimson crest capsule, there's a thick dark black line, then an inner band of bright yellow orange gold about 4 to 6 inches wide. Another thin black line separates this outer Metatronic radial body field from the inner layers of the striated rainbow aura. If one's HSP, higher sensory perception, is developed, observation of the crimson crest auric field may reveal the presence of what appears to be large metallic gold scarab beetle, the form which appears to be within and extending beyond physical body form. This is a true form of the inhabiting shadow dancer, the crimson crest shadow dancer full body possession. This actually implies inhabiting presence of a D11.5 reversal dark avatar from the Wizardek Nephilim Necromaton Collective. This embodiment can only be formed through body snatching an incarnate level 3 12 DNA strand Indigo child or Indigo children type 1 and 2 before awakening of their Amaria flame body. Presently, the Wizardek Nephilim races are creating a fleet of crimson-crested humans on Earth who are intended to serve as their administrative caste in advancing the One World Order Illuminati World War III agenda. I've seen a few completely hijacked. Maybe not completely, but on their way there. And you just can't save them. You can't say anything to them because they just look at you blankly like they don't believe you, they don't know what you're talking about, like you don't exist. And yeah, they have a very unique energy field. So if you encounter a human demonstrating any of these aura configuration, be it an adult, a child, an infant, instantly use your Maharic seal, crystal seal, in your auric field and avoid physical contact, as this can easily transfer into an etheric body Metatronic implant by touch, and frequency direct transmission implant into the target field without touching, just like what happened to me through the computer, because it was an online session, and I just felt it and instantly, lucky I done to D12, but I reactivated too. It's actually a horrible experience if you come face to face with it. Anyway, part of the Magenta Earth mission is to collect via covert metatronic implanting real human real estate before 2012, especially for assimilation into Wizardek black hole. Now, before I end the session, I just want to talk a little bit about example of a Nephilim agenda. So one of my observations again, this year there was a festival, I think they do it every year, Australian festival. It took place this year, it's called the DEFCON Festival. This is an example of a Nephilim agenda taking place. Sadly, majority are hypnotized by the entertainment show that they're too oblivious to see what's actually taking place and what they're getting themselves into. They're actually feeding the rituals. They're partaking in rituals that feed these fallen matrices. These happen all the time. People willingly and unwillingly are participating in rituals. So the DEFCON 2024 festival, they show reversed cross logo. They show horns. There's demonic possession symbology, reversal music frequencies. I mean, there's a song by B-Front and a guy or a band called Adrenalize. It starts off by asking, do you need something hypnotizing? That's the event. It starts, do you need something hypnotizing? Everyone's just dancing and cheering on. And everything from the start to the end is satanic, and the worst type of satanic. And the worst of all, they have Nephilim giants statues. People don't realize, but the Nephilim giants, they're direct descendants of the fallen angel matrix. The festival is a clear example of energy harvesting ritualistic events and how far people will go for entertainment and turn a blind eye to everything else. You know, these people are willingly being harvested, lushed, vampired for their life force, for their prana, and completely hypnotized under the spell of the fallen ones. So they ask you, do you need something hypnotizing? And people are just dancing along with like dead eyes, and everyone's hypnotized because they gave their consent by being there, by not saying, no, I do not consent. So another example is take a look at the hidden city in Kazakhstan. the hidden city of the fallen angels. It's called Estana. Estana is an anagram for the word Satan. The city actually holds a massive architecture and looks like a giant portal with like energy siphoning stations everywhere and like pyramids, an egg in a light-bearing torch. I guess that's related to Lucifer, the light bringer or the light bearer. And so it's not hidden anymore like they used to do it. It's in plain sight and it's there for you to discern. And I know everyone watching this channel is discerning because it's, you know, we know this now, and you know, we're well on the path of evolving out of these fallen systems and, you know, activating DNA and, you know, but if you feel called to, you need to start bringing attention to these things, because it's a lot of victims, it's a lot of people that are being harvested through those false systems. So there's energy siphoning stations, they're everywhere. It's everywhere, it's all around us. We don't see it. Why? We've been put under the spell of hypnotic suggestions that we are nothing, we are powerless, we are always answerable to a higher authority, to religious figures or otherwise. Okay, so yeah, that's something to look out for and yeah, bring awareness to, especially people who are asleep. We have to keep trying, never give up. Well, I guess there's a point where you give up when, you know, they start to shoot the messenger. But yeah, until then, I think we should keep trying to plant the seed. Just little references, it doesn't have to be too sophisticated and stuff, but just like, oh, wonder why they have that there. It looks like a portal. Wonder if it's a portal to the underground. I wonder. Just something short, simple, sweet like that just triggers a thought process within them. So I'm going to stop here. This is the end. I'm going to taking a short break and coming back with part 2. Stay tuned. Part 2 will be premiering tomorrow, same time. In part 2, it gets really interesting. I'll talk about indigo type 3s. I'll talk about polarity issues, the Caduceus, of course, healing solutions. This is going to be a big part and an announcement as well. So I will see you there. Take care. Much love. See you part 2.
But it's unfortunately the history we have been living. This is what we are taught about the Bible. We are taught about these stories in our history. We're taught to take them seriously, as if God did this. You know, God didn't do most of this. This was a combination of humans who kind of got confused with a bunch of Anunnaki and Draconians and created a real mess and blamed it on God. That's what happened. There is a God, and we all are from a central creative source force that is an intelligence and an identity. It is God. But it isn't the God that's called Jehovah or anybody else. God doesn't need to have a single label name. The single label names for God were coming from the various fallen angelics that tried to set themselves up in replace of the true interconnection of God. It tried to convince pieces of God that are walking around here that are us that we were something different, taught us that God was out here someplace, and called it a name. If we have the guts to really look at what was done here, it won't seem so offensive. Some people, God bless the people who are really into being like Jehovah's Witness or something very, very seriously, taking the Bible as the only word of God ever, 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 and everything else is evil. And if they come to your door and you let them in and you listen to them, as I have often, because I love all people, if you refuse to convert by the end of that conversation, they will tell you you're damned and you're evil. Okay? And at that point I said, you can leave now. You're in my house. I was nice enough to let you in. You don't have to call me names, you know. But these people are very serious about their beliefs. And I respect that. I respect the verve of loving God enough to want to actually defend it that much. What would absolutely be devastating to a person who's really attached to having your God have a specific name to it is if they find out it's not who they thought it was. Right now, they're worshiping Anunnaki, fallen angelics. Try to convince people that are absolutely certain that's the way it is? You won't. So I don't try to. What I like about the people here is you're open-minded. You want to know. All right, what is it? Whatever it is, just let me know. Give me an idea of what it is. That's fine, and I'll think about that. There's no heavy attachment to it having to be any one way, and that's how you'll learn. That's how you'll be able to find your comfort zone in it.